Hello friends, in today's video I'll be taking a look at this 1/24th scale Lancia Delta S4 from Nunu. Now before I start, of note is that Nunu is actually Beemax rebranded, and thus this kit is the same tooling as what was previously released under the Beemax name. The differences between them are minor, and whilst a couple of new parts are included, nothing has been done to fix the inaccuracies of the initial release, but I'll talk in more detail about those later on in the video. Upon opening the box, you can see that it is practically packed full of parts. And on top is the first clear sprue, and as expected from a modern kit, it's perfect, with no flow lines or distortion, just crisp moulding and complete transparency. Following that is a bag with the chrome sprues inside. They have no excess flash, and I don't feel that the chrome is too reflective, as is sometimes the case. As a majority of the parts on the sprues are the light bezels and mirrors, I find it rather suitable. Next up are the tyres, and also inside are the polycaps and some plastic mesh. Luckily this mesh isn't the type that frays apart easily, so it should be simple to work with, if you choose not to purchase a separate detail up set, that is, and that replaces the mesh with photo etch parts. The next bag contains a miscellaneous group of parts from the brakes, suspension, engine, interior and exterior, as well as even a part of the roll cage. All have good levels of detail and look to only need minor cleanup. This bag houses the main chassis part and interior tub, with another small sprue with just the mud shields. There's not a lot of detail on these parts, but the chassis piece does have some nice rivet detail. Next up are the remaining parts for the engine, interior, chassis, etc. Again grouped in a more miscellaneous way, as opposed to a this sprue is engine, this one suspension and so on. I guess this way reduces the size of the sprues and also gets them into these nice and neat rectangles. And with the engine hole being on this sprue, I can show you one of the main errors in this kit. The exhaust manifold location holes are in the engine block, whereas they should actually be in the cylinder head, like the ones for the inlet manifold. A simple re-drill and bending of the exhaust manifold can sort this. The holes that Beemax tooled for the exhaust are actually the block core plugs, so filling with a piece of plastic rod just slightly recessed and then painting a brass colour will sort them out. This bag houses the bodywork, which is very well moulded, although there is a nasty looking mould line to deal with on the front end. The sprue inside holds mostly exterior panels and details, as well as the two new parts for this new release over the original Beemax, and that's the lamp pods. The chrome plated bezels and clear lenses were already included, so it was a strange option to omit them from the original, but I'm sure Beemax had their reasons. The last white moulded sprues are the wheels, spare and the brake cooling discs, or turbofans as they are commonly referred to as. It would have been nice for this release to feature gravel spec wheels, tyres and suspension, but as the early stages of the rally were on tarmac, I suppose it is still accurate to keep the tarmac setup. The last sprue is the second clear one, which includes the light lenses and cockpit firewall window, but rather oddly, also the underguard and front splitter. The underguard I can sort of understand a la 90s Tamiya, and moulding these types of pieces clear so that if left unpainted, the details could be seen that would otherwise be hidden. But here, the underguard doesn't really cover that much, so it is a bit of a mystery. The decals look great, and whilst I have yet to experience Nunu's own decals, I hope that because Nunu is just a rebranded Beemax, that the decals will be of the same excellent quality. The instructions, on the other hand, aren't as good as the original Beemax. Everything seems to be squeezed onto the page. The drawings are still clear and easy to follow, it's just a little overcrowded in parts. I think this is due to the fact that the steps for the optional detail upset have been removed from the main kit instructions. I'm not sure why this was done, as I always found their inclusion actually enticed you to get the extra detail because you could see what you was missing out on. Another letdown over the original Beemax version is the decal placement guide. Gone is a separate full colour glossy sheet, and instead this grayscale drawing that looks dark and dreary because of the light shading used. Ultimately, there's nothing really wrong with the instructions, it just feels like a step backwards compared to what we had. So that's everything that's inside the box. Let's talk about some of the things that aren't. I've already mentioned the error with the core plugs being used for the exhaust manifold instead of the cylinder head, but some things have been omitted entirely despite being obvious inside the engine bay when opening the rear hatch. Things like the ducts that sit inside the hatch and direct air from the side vents through to the intercoolers, the second fuel tank, as well as the fuel pumps and filters that attach to a panel between the lower two chassis tubes on the left hand side, the turbo impeller housing that's basically just a blob at the end of the intake pipe, and unless you buy the detail upset you don't get the oil tank, and even if you do there's no filler cap for it. To be honest, I could go on, but I fear I'd start to make the kit sound like it's not worth it. The kit is decent, and having started building the Beemax release previously, the fit of the kit is excellent, and the missing parts are easy to make yourself if you do wish to take your kit to that level. I paid £43 for this kit, and I feel that the price is fair, but it is more than the Beemax original, and with just 2 new parts included, it's not exactly a bargain in comparison. It does go to show though just what a good thing Beemax had going with Aoshima. I'm not sure why they felt the need to abandon that and start anew under the Platts Nunu name, but who am I to judge? And with that, that concludes my review of the 124 Lancia Delta S4 from Nunu. And if you've enjoyed today's video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and until next time, ta-ta!